question 2015-3201, public health implications of VW scandal in the name of Assembly Member Jones.
Thank you very much, Jenny. I'm going to take all the answers together. If that's
no. I just said the total opposite.
You want me to answer
each question?
I'm sorry. I will. In that case, I'll answer each question individually. Yep. Forgive me. On the public health implications of the VW scandal, which is what you're asking about, particularly, Jenny, we are going to continue, obviously, to implement the most far-reaching programme of air quality improvement measures in any city in the world, with the ultra-low emission zone, which will reduce the NOx by 49%, PM10s and PM2.5s by 64%, and CO2 by 15% in central London just in the next 5 years. And included in this package, obviously, are lots of plans about no new diesel taxis, zero-emission vehicles in the centre of town, ultra-low emission buses, and so on and so forth. I think the anxiety, and this may anticipate future questions, the anxiety that people have is about the Euro 6 diesel standards for vehicles. And the question I think everybody may legitimately ask is, given what has happened with the Euro 4 and Euro 5 standards, which were turned out to be fictitious and defective and not delivering what they claimed, what confidence can we place in the Euro 6 diesel standards? I think for heavy goods vehicles, they seem to be working. There is more doubt, frankly, about the Euro 6 diesel performance for light vehicles, for cars. And just to give you the response that we've got so far in City Hall, when we modelled the ultra-low emissions zone...
Mr Mayor, I've got to stop you because you're answering a question I haven't asked.
When we modelled the ultra-low emissions zone...
You're answering a question I haven't asked.
I'm answering... You asked about health impacts.
Yes.
And our objective is to respond...
And now I want to ask you another question, right, which is, what is the scale of the problem here in London? Have you made any assessment of that?
Well, we don't have any new assessment of the scale of the health threat, but you'll be familiar with Murad and others have campaigned for a long time on this. You'll be familiar with the scale of the early mortality that results.
So you don't know the size of the problem
in London, and we have no evidence. There's no scientific evidence that I know of that the extra release of pollutants implied by the VW scandal that has led to or is leading to greater mortality. There's no evidence that I know of for that, though I'll be happy to get back to you on that.
Now, the government's got a watchdog called the Vehicle Certification Agency, and that's been tasked to actually retest all of these vehicles. But there's a big problem with this because it actually gets a lot of funding from vehicle manufacturers. And so I just wonder if you're as dubious as I am about whether or not they're going to be effective and, I don't want to say honest, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And because, in fact, they've failed to actually expose the defeat device in spite of the fact that diesel vehicles are something like 50% of our motor fleet. So have you got much confidence in the Vehicle Certification Agency?
Well, all I can say, Jenny, is I think that you're right to be suspicious. All we can say is that other manufacturers than VW have confirmed that they don't have defeat devices on their vehicles, and clearly that's something that I'm sure that is being actively investigated, but that's the information we have at the moment.
Well, do you think it's worth carrying out your own independent tests in some way so that we can actually check these vehicles? Because there are a substantial number in London.
I think it would be, it's up to authorities in this country to and indeed under the EU, as far as I can remember, under the EU homologation principles for vehicles, once a vehicle has been tested for emissions in one part of the community, it is deemed good for the whole of the community. That's the best of my knowledge how it works. Clearly, there's been a major failure here with VW. we do obviously test the buses that go on our roads.
So you
and I would just make one point to you that perhaps might cheer up some members of the audience. Irrespective, and getting back to your point about health impacts, irrespective of the VW scandal, which is very, very serious, it is still the case that emissions of these pollutants have come down, and in many London hotspots, the measured impact, or the measured emissions, indeed in some of the most notorious hotspots for poor air quality, we are seeing improvements as a result of new technology.
Mr. Mayor, you're notoriously bad on facts, so forgive me if I don't...
I'm saying, that's a pot.
If I don't accept
kettle.
that.
Hello?
Now, Mr. Mayor, the fact is that Euro 6 are going to be in your ULEZ, and they're going to be, at the moment, exempt. But what I'm suggesting is they should not be exempt.
But
actually, if you don't test them independently, then we can't guarantee that they are as clean as they should be for your ULEZ, and you want that to work, don't you?
We do. And I wondered why you were trying to interrupt me when I was coming to that very point. That's because you wanted to make it a bit later on yourself.
Okay, and we'll finish with the Jenny.
It's perfectly true that this is now the question for us. Does the Euro 6 diesel test really deliver the results that we want? So what we've done is bake into the ULEZ predictions.
No, that's not good enough, though. We don't want the dirty air. We don't want you to say it'll all be all right because we've got a margin of error for filthy air. We want you to say the air will be cleaner.
Okay, Assemblymember Jones, you talked about...
I'm very happy to say...
Excuse me, just a minute. You talked about the public health implications.
Yes.
Have you finished on
dirty air.
Have you finished on the public health
Jenny wants me to say something.
No, it's all about the public
Jenny
health
wants me to say something, so I'm going to say
air
it.
from these vehicles. Huh?
Jenny wants me to say that the air will be cleaner. The air will be cleaner, Jenny. It has got cleaner, and it will get cleaner still, thanks to the ULEZ.
And not as clean as it could be if you independently tested some of these vehicles, so that we can be sure that your ULEZ will actually work for Londoners.
The issue is, well, I know that you're a passionate supporter of the single market and the principles of the European Union, and you will understand that under basic EU law, Cassis de Dijon and other cases, a vehicle having been homologated for use in one EU country must be...
You're repeating yourself, Mr. Mayor. That's not valuable use of my time.
It's an important principle which I think...